I'm not going to take the stance of other political commentators that are out there that say, oh, you need to hurry up and move out of cities. You can still have a good life in certain cities that are around the country. You just need to be specific about where you're living. But one place in particular, okay, and you can kind of guess based on the subject material that we're going to be talking about here. One of those places that I'll say stay the hell away from is definitely New York City. New York City, Los Angeles, okay, anywhere where it's deeply, deeply, deeply blue, you probably don't want to be. Okay, places like Miami, I'm sure that there's some other cities in the Midwest that are probably fine, okay, but deep blue cities in deep blue states specifically, and even in deep red states, okay, because you got places like Memphis, it's run by a Democrat. It's just one that immediately comes to mind. They aren't exactly the safest places on earth, okay? What did Memphis ended up ranking when we did that video? A 2 out of 100? It's amazing how violent these places can be. All run by Democrats, but again, excuse me, in the top 50, there's 2 places that are violent, so it's not all 50. Okay, cool. The exceptions don't disprove the rule, you fucking idiots. But now we're gonna get, I don't like this subject material. This shit makes my fucking stomach turn. Okay, there's 2 things that I find incredibly fucking disturbing in this world. Like murder and violence, you know, hey, every once in a while, like a compound fracture or somebody getting smushed, that's pretty disturbing. But, you know, you very rarely actually see that unless you go look for it out there on Live Leak or whatever the fuck you used to, ogreish.com. There's a throwback for way back in the day. But when it comes to like rape and drug addiction, shit like that, that shit just really, it turns my stomach, and I don't like to see it portrayed dramatically or just hear the stories about that. That's just, that's my limit, okay? For everybody else out there, your mileage may vary, but that's where I about tap out, so. The only reason we're talking about this is because there's just such a fucking hunk of shit in that Manhattan District Attorney's office. Hey, Letitia James, we know that you're going after Trump right now. You're the boss of this motherfucker. Why don't you step in and do something about this? Oh, no, wait. You're too busy fighting a political vendetta. You got a personal grudge against Trump. Why don't you go after this dude here, huh? Why don't you correct this wrong that has obviously been levied out there? A sex fiend gets a sweet deal from Manhattan DA Bragg on teen rape charge, then attacks 5 other people. Just another one of the products of that stupid bail reform system that came to pass earlier this year in New York. Something that's going to be even more heavily copied and elaborated on out there in Illinois as well. But it also goes to show that sometimes there's some people out there that there's no help for. Okay, got a fucking sweet deal, okay, and that's just disgusting to say, on the first crime, and then goes out to commit 5 more fucking crimes? Some people can be rehabilitated, and I understand that the correctional facilities out there, that's what their top priority is. But other times, don't even waste the cot in these fucking places. And I'm not talking about leaving them on cashless bail, okay? I think you can fucking connect the dots. A man accused of raping his teenage relative. Oh, great, wonderful, fantastic. Secured a sweetheart plea deal from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and then went on to allegedly sexually terrorize 5 people in the Bronx. Just a month later, the Post has learned. Justin Washington, 25. Oh, great. He's a young man with just so many future rapes in his 30s and 40s, I'm sure, because shit ain't going to be getting any better in New York City anytime soon. Was promised a plum 30-day jail sentence along with 5 years probation. Oh, that's it? So, yeah, just supervised release. Hey, he learned from his pro. He spent a month in jail, and then you got 5 years. You got to check in with a parole officer every once in a while. After he agreed in Manhattan to plead down a charge of coercion in a Manhattan rape case. But just a week before he was allegedly set to be sentenced Wednesday, Washington allegedly went on a sex crime spree. Oh, yeah, he's got to cram everything in before he goes away for a month. Okay. Unbelievable. Attacking 4 women and a man? Oh boy. He was really trying to get early accustomed to life behind bars. Near the homeless shelter. Oh, where he was living in the Bronx. Okay, wouldn't he be a little bit more enthusiastic about going to jail? Because then he'd finally be getting 3 squares and a roof over his head. After finding out about the September 15th arrest, prosecutors with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office said that they were reconsidering the sentence recommended with the plea deal, which some cops said should have never been offered in the first place. Yeah, because I'd imagine this probably isn't his first dalliance with the cops, okay? Nobody ever stops with raping your teenage Or your teenage relative, sorry. You gotta be fucking building up to that shit. I'm just putting that out there. That's what I'm thinking. How does a man who rapes an innocent teenage girl walk the streets to sexually attack 5 more innocent people, including a homeless woman? Well, to be fair, it's 4 homeless women and 1 man, but don't need to talk about that. It's all about, we need to keep women safe. Obviously, like, I understand most. He's about to find out where most of the rapes in the United States are about to take place. Hopefully, and hopefully it's longer than a 1-month stay. Another police source scoffed at the 30-day sentence, pointing out the original charge of rape Washington faced could have got him locked up for 25 years if convicted. Yep, and a teenage relative, too. I've heard mixed reports of people that actually go to jail about how, stringently that whole idea that underage kid diddlers are not exactly treated that well in the clink. Like, I'm hearing that shit is wholeheartedly enforced, and then at the same time, you're just kind of in there for whatever you're in there for. It's all about how you comport yourself to life behind bars. More or less what the takeaway is. That was a sweet deal. He went from 1 rape and facing 25 years in jail, which is hard time, to 30 days, the officer said. What a joke. Second-degree coercion charge Washington agreed to plea to also carries a maximum penalty of 16 months to 4 years behind bars. That's it. And he got 16 months to 4 years behind bars, which is much more than the 30 days offered by the DA. Oh, he's black, and black people are disproportionately represented in prisons. I wonder why that is. These were very traumatizing crimes, and he shouldn't have been allowed to walk the streets. What about the teenager? Yeah, no, exactly. Her life is ruined. I'd imagine it's probably a her. The DA should be coming up with programs for victims, not criminals. Yes, exactly. But hey, man, he's got an agenda that's out there. Okay, he cares about the safety of the streets of New York City about as much as the mayor does, which is, anyways. Emily Tuttle, a spokesperson for Bragg's office, defended the plea deal originally offered to Washington. Yeah, no, exactly. He's not a threat to the community. Oh, fuck. 5 more charges? Yeah, it was a good deal at the time. Haha, no further questions. Our experienced sex crime prosecutor, conducted a thorough investigation, and we're in regular contact with the survivor's family throughout the case. Yeah, no, exactly. The related family member. Okay, cool. I'm sure he wasn't in close contact just saying, just fucking say what I want you to say. It's 30 months, otherwise you get in the fucking fist once again. Based on the evidence, we determined that there was an appropriate plea to spare the young survivor from having to testify. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. You were raped by a family member, and you thought, hey, we could just go ahead and give this guy a plea deal because you don't want to testify, do you? Well, actually, I'd like to see him. You don't want to testify, do you? Okay. I don't know that. I'm just reading into that, okay? While holding Washington accountable for his conduct. Okay, now explain the other 5 that he would go on to commit, because guess what? Even if he went away for a month, he would still come out and do the exact same shit, because once a fucking criminal, always a criminal. As the investigation into this week's extremely disturbing allegations in the Bronx continues, we will determine whether to ask for a lengthier jail sentence. Somebody should. Won't somebody please think of the homeless folks, I guess? Washington first landed behind bars on February 23rd after a teenage relative told police he raped her while the 2 were watching television together in East Harlem, law enforcement sources said. Okay. If the person, we know it's a her now. So if she went to the cops, okay, do you actually think that she didn't want to testify? Like, stop it. Stop the cap. You just offered him a deal. You might have put in a call to her saying, we got something for him. He's going to be locked up. Thanks for your cooperation. Okay, bye. He was hit with charges of first-degree rape, first-degree sexual abuse, and forcibly touching and thrown in jail for a measly $25,000 cash bail or $50,000 bond, despite prosecutors asking the judge to set at least $100,000 in connection with the case. Yeah, those are some pretty serious charges. First-degree rape and sexual abuse and forcible touching. This was a little bit more than that coercion that you ended up pleading down to, okay? About 3 weeks later, prosecutors reduced Washington's charges to third-degree rape, and they determined they didn't have enough evidence. And was sprung from jail when a judge agreed to reduce his bail to $12,000. Yeah, this would be one of those instances where, again, maybe, okay, in a vacuum. Okay, maybe this guy was set up by a family member, but then why would you go on to commit 5 more charges? Okay, that would be the caveat when it comes to this stuff. If she had the goods, and instead of actually going on social media saying, I was sexually assaulted, #MeToo, she went to the fucking cops, okay? So clearly, there was something at stake here. She wanted some justice out of this one, okay? So whenever there's actually a police report filed with some decent evidence attached to it, I'm kind of inclined to believe the facts. I know, weird, right? In my inherent skepticism of the government being on full display, I can see exactly what's going on here. Why aren't the believe all women people coming out in defense of the kid here? The kid that got fucking raped by this career criminal. No. You just not enough clout to be had here. And then again, oh man, you're accusing a black guy? Can't be doing that. That's a racism. Washington, who has no prior arrests. Wow, fuck me. I guess I was mistaken. Made all of his court appearances, but last Thursday, less than a week before he was set to be sentenced, he allegedly used his last days as a free man to commit a string of attacks, court records say. Spree started at 8:20 a.m. Oh, so we got up early on his last free day. When he crawled into an 18-year-old man's window, put his hands in the man's underwear and demanded money while gripping the victim's buttocks. Oh, okay. Thought it was going to be, give me $20, otherwise I'll jerk you off. I was like, wait, that's weird. Can I get $1, bro? Whoa, that's a fucking weird conversation to be having. You got a hold of my ass and you just want $1? Okay, I'll pay you to go away and not slip a digit between the cracks. Washington allegedly asked the victim, who obliged the request. Yeah, exactly. Well, you got my ass in your hands, so whatever it takes for you to leave. Okay, make sure to lock the window next time. The creep refused to take the dollar bill. Oh, man, he should be brought up on fraud charges because he asked for $1, he offered him $1, and they didn't want to take it. Unbelievable. But then asked for it again before telling the victim, never mind, you're not understanding, and fleeing through the window. Prosecutor said, not exactly a coherent criminal. About 40 minutes later, Washington allegedly crept up the fire escape of a building on Davidson Avenue and began banging on the apartment window of the 26-year-old woman who was at the home of, with her 9-month-old son at the time, according to prosecutors and sources. So just because this guy doesn't have a criminal record and he's immediately starting to do B&Es, I think there's probably a history in here in some form or fashion if somebody would do their fucking job. When the woman opened her curtain, she saw Washington masturbating on the fire escape. This motherfucker's horny. Half an hour later, Washington allegedly burst into a 49-year-old woman's apartment in the same building and attempted to rape her, court records say. Oh. Pushed the woman down on her bed, pulled up her nightgown. Went after you had a 26-year-old single mother, and then you decided to come back for a 49-year-old woman? This fucking dude, he's crazy as shit. How many drugs was he on? Because you can see his eyeballs in that picture right there. He's on something. Okay, climbed on top of her and masturbated and asked, can I get $1? And it's like, looks like you're after a little bit more than $1, my guy. As the sicko pushed the woman's legs apart and smelt, she bit his hand, scratched him, and then whacked him in the head with a hammer. Oh, shit, my lady. 15 minutes later, Washington went to an apartment on the Aqueduct Avenue, slipped his hands through a woman's bathroom window, stole her underwear, and then began masturbating. God, this guy couldn't get his fucking nut for like how many hours here? He was trying man-ass. He was jerking off in front of somebody's window. He was trying to pin down a 49-year-old and then just ended up settling for stealing some fucking bathroom underwear. God, this dude's down bad. The disturbing rampage ended about 5 minutes later. Okay. When Washington allegedly found his final victim, a homeless woman who was sleeping in the lobby of the Aqueduct Avenue building. God, what did he smell on that 49-year-old that had him settling for homeless box? Unbelievable. Whatever. I know it's not really time for jokes, but you gotta add some levity to this shit somewhere along the way. He was caught on surveillance footage molesting the woman, pulling down her pants, touching her buttocks, and masturbating. This guy's got a fucking MO. This isn't the first time he hasn't fucking done something like this. I guarantee it. 26-year-old woman who caught Washington allegedly masturbating in the fire escape said Thursday that the incident left her shaken up. Yeah, of course. You go to open up you just hear some fucking banging on your windows. You think, oh God, what the fuck ended up being in there? And the last thing that you were going to be thinking is somebody about a day away from going to jail just fucking jerking off in front of your window. It'd be a little odd, to say the least. I'm not surprised that he was out on the streets. No doubt. Isn't that what they do? Try to break into people's houses and fucking jack off in their face? Yeah. Again, yeah, most the homeless folks are homeless by choice, not by accident, okay? Like, every once in a while, you get all of those Lifetime stories where it's like, oh my God, he just slipped through the cracks. No. Most of them are addicts or just legit crazy motherfuckers, okay? So she's not wrong. She's not wrong. NYPD Bronx Warrant Squad picked Washington up 2 days later at a homeless shelter and fell in place, how appropriate, and hit him with a slew of charges including attempted rape, burglary, forcible touching, and sexually motivated felony. Should have a few more than that. Prosecutors said that the Bronx District Attorney's Office at the court to remand him to custody or set a $500,000 cash or $1.5 million bond in the case. There'll be a few trips down to the sperm bank in order to make bail, just saying. The judge ultimately set a $50,000 cash bail or a $150,000 bond. Fuck off. You're giving this guy another fucking chance that's out there. Obviously, if he's out there on the streets, he's not going to be able to post a cash bail. But I think that his ability to reoffend is probably about as high as his sex drive. And sent Washington back to Rikers Island. The case will be presented to a grand jury this week. I hope they come back and indict this fucking fool. During his hearing in the Manhattan case on Wednesday, where he'd been set to get the wrist slap sentenced for the alleged February rape, prosecutors asked Judge Lori Peterson for an adjournment, citing the string of attacks in the Bronx. We believe the defendant has violated the terms of the plea agreement. What? You don't say. And then he made back in August, and we're requesting the defendant be remanded and the case be adjourned for sentencing until further information from the Bronx. ADA Courtney Groves said during the hearing. The judge agreed and adjourned the case until September 28th. Sweet. Washington also wouldn't have to register as a sex offender under that plea agreement. Unfucking believable. One police officer pointed out, I understand. I do understand. And again, if this was just one case in a vacuum, it's his first crime. I understand it. And that was the plea deal that he was presented by the prosecutor. Okay. Then for him to go out and commit that other string of felonies, and then you just add on the top of that it was originally charged as a first-degree rape and first-degree sexual assault, and that he wouldn't have to register as a sex offender. Would that same luxury be afforded to anybody else that wasn't a raving fucking lunatic? I wonder. I understand they talked to the victim's family, but what about the rest of the citizens of New York who can become Mr. Washington's victims in the future, like those innocent 5 people in the Bronx? If the district attorney didn't give him this deal, they wouldn't have been sexually assaulted. Yeah, no, exactly. Adam Conta, Washington's court-appointed attorney in the Manhattan case, is currently pulling out what's left of his hair and being like, I don't fucking know. Going back to this, said he was waiting to review the evidence of the Bronx attacks. Yeah, like, I don't know. I got DNA evidence on a couple of windows. I got skin cell samplings on the back of somebody's fucking tighty-whities. Like, this dude's fucked. We have a system that works where everybody is innocent until proven guilty. That's about the best thing you can say. Nothing bad to say about this public defender. This is I don't even know, man, because this is New York City at the end of the day. He probably has much worse crimes where he needs to defend people because, again, that is enshrined by the United States Constitution. Everybody has the right to an attorney, okay? It's just the poor cunt that ended up getting this fucking case. He's like, really? Seriously? Oh, God. He told the Post, while declining to say if his client has any mental health issues. Oh, I don't know. I don't know any people that are on the up and up outside fucking beating off in front of people's windows. It's just a bit of a thing, okay? Like, I've done some dirt in public, okay, but it's always involved a nice, pretty young thing that's willing, of course, not like Washington here, the totally willing situation, okay? So I guess that also separates us. Right now, there's not enough evidence in the Bronx to know if this was or wasn't Justin. Well, if you're going to have 5 people come forward and say, that's the dude right there, and the fact that it all kind of coincides with he was about to get sentenced, and then that was the only court date that he missed, you can go ahead and try to connect the dots. But I understand this guy has to put up some sort of a defense in this indefensible situation. But this just also goes to show you that New York City is a fucking disaster zone. Even if you want to live in the city, don't make it New York. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.